In this movie, I'll show you how to open an image file inside Photoshop running under Windows. In the next movie, I'll show you how to do the very same thing on a Mac. Now, if you're a premium member or you own a DVD version of this course, then you have access to my exercise files, and those are downloadable from the site, by the way. Inside the exercise files folder is a subfolder called O1 Open Image. Inside that folder are 3 files called Welcome. They're really called welcome.jpg, welcome.psd, and welcome.tiff. Now, JPEG, PSD, and TIFF are the 3 primary imaging formats, and we'll see why that is over time. But right now, I'd like you to be able to see those extensions. If you can't, then tap the Alt key, which will bring up an old-school Windows menu. Then go ahead and click on Tools and choose Folder Options. Inside the Folder Options dialog box, go ahead and switch to the View tab, and then turn off this checkbox that says Hide Extensions for Known File Types. That way we can see our extensions. It's not going to hurt anything. Then go ahead and click on the Apply button, and then click OK in order to hide the dialog box. And now we can see the names of each one of these files: welcome.jpg, welcome.psd, and welcome.tiff. In a perfect world, you'd be able to double-click on any of these 3 icons and have it open just fine in Photoshop. Chances are good that the TIFF file is going to work, so let's go ahead and try it. I'll double-click on welcome.tiff, and it opens that image inside Photoshop. And you can tell we're in Photoshop because we can see a Layers panel over here on the right-hand side of the screen. We've got a toolbox over here on the left, and we've got this dark, lustrous interface. But that might not be the way things work out. I'm going to minimize Photoshop so I can return to the desktop. And now I'll double-click on a file called welcome.jpg. And it ends up by default opening inside Windows Photo Viewer. And that's not going to do us any good because obviously we can't use Photoshop when we're in the wrong program. So I'm going to go ahead and close this program. Here's how to solve the problem so JPEG files open automatically inside Photoshop. And this goes for any file format, by the way. If you want it to open in Photoshop, here's what you do. Go ahead and right-click on the image file and choose Open With, and then drop down to this command, Choose Default Program. Then, inside the Open With dialog box, go ahead and select the most recent version of Photoshop installed on your machine. If you don't see Photoshop in the list, then go ahead and click this down-pointing arrowhead next to Other Programs and scroll down and see if you can find it in this list. If you still can't find Photoshop, you're going to have to click on the Browse button and locate the application on your hard drive. But thankfully for me, it's up here at the top. Also make sure that this checkbox, always use the selected program to open this kind of file, is turned on, then click OK. And now notice the JPEG file opens fine inside Photoshop. All right, I'm going to go ahead and minimize Photoshop once again. And finally, let's try the PSD file. A PSD file is a native Photoshop document that may contain layers. In our case, we've got a lot of layers to work with. I'll go ahead and double-click on this image file. Now, chances are very good that you're going to see this alert message. It tells you that some text layers contain fonts that are missing. These layers will need to have the missing fonts replaced before they can use for vector-based output. What that's telling you is that you're missing fonts that I used in this document. And if you want to edit that text or print it at high resolution, then you're going to need to get those fonts. However, if all you want to do is look at the image on screen and modify the other non-text layers, then there's nothing to worry about. Notice if I click OK, then even though I have all these warnings listed next to my text layers here inside the Layers panel, all of the text looks just fine inside the image file, even when I zoom in. And the reason for that is Photoshop goes ahead and includes a pixel version of every single one of those text layers along with the native PSD document. And that's how you open image files from the desktop inside Photoshop running under Windows.